On today's show, in a fishing boat with a Minnesota legend, Bob Lessard in his fishing camp hideaway. The former legislator catches walleyes left and right,
Learn your lesson.
which also explains his political leanings. Never a dull moment with Bob Lessard in the Boondocks.
I want to do something about it.
Next, a Minnesota couple invite your help in improving the life and times of Monarch butterflies. They've got the milkweed seeds you need to plant them.
If you don't have any milkweed, you don't have any monarchs.
Our grill is hot and ready.
And later, Laura Shera goes wild in the kitchen. Grilled quail is on the menu. Plus, our Minnesota-bound classic this week remembers a day afield with a Minnesota homegrown favorite playing first base for the Minnesota Twins, Kent Hrbek. Those stories and more next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's Select GMC dealers.
Hi, everybody. Raven and I welcome you to the show. She's ready to go fishing. Well, so am I. Speaking of that, our first story is about a visit to a small fishing camp in Ontario, not far from Fort Frances, Ontario. You can't drive there, you have to fly, but it's owned by somebody that almost everybody in Minnesota knows. Old trapper Bob Lessard. He fishes walleyes, but there's more exciting fish there to catch than that. Atta boy. Good job.
Hi, go get your buddies, okay? Learn your lesson.
Once you meet Bob Lessard, there's no forgetting. Okay, Bob. Pretty nice pike here.
Well, I caught one the other day. That's no kidding. I would have eaten that one.
Really?
Yeah, that's just fish bait.
Bob Lessard, an original Jack Pine Minnesotan with more lives than a cat. Trapper and fishing guide, state senator and representative, 26 years in the legislature, a former Democrat, but also a former Republican.
I like fishing, hunting. I've never really gotten tired of it. I'm just as excited when I get one or have as much fun now as I did when I was 21 years old.
The old trapper, as he's fondly called, loves cigars and hanging out with a close personal friend, Viking coach Bud Grant, who can't stand smoking.
Well, I've got a number of Bud Grant stories. The one I think you've all heard about is the time I lit a cigarette in his car. You'd think I'd crucified the Lord.
For nearly 25 years, Lessard has owned and operated Trout Lake Fishing Camp in Ontario, a short floatplane flight from Fort Frances, Ontario.
Oh, we have walleye, northern, smallmouth bass, and lake trout. There's no muskie in it. Up here the fish are dumb. We catch a lot of them. We really have dumb walleyes.
Oh yes, walleyes. Bob loves walleyes.
Nice walleye.
Yes, sir. You know, you're a pretty good guide.
Not a very good fisherman.
Boy, they're fat. A deep gold. I'll put them on your side here, Bob.
Oh, thank you. I am getting a little fed up. That's a good one.
Woo! That was the fish of the day, buddy. Good girl.
Nah, I'm gonna beat you though.
Huh?
I'm gonna beat you.
You know, you could be a little happy for me.
No, I don't like getting beat.
Never a dull moment when Bob's in the boat with walleyes below. But Trout Lake also is harboring another mighty fish that gets no respect, smallmouth bass. One day, camp manager Brett Lessard joined me in search of smallies, a fish accidentally introduced into Trout Lake years ago. When upstream, a beaver dam broke. You find the rocks, and you'll find the smallmouth. There he is again. Okay, netting. Woo-hoo. Did he smash that? The red eye is the real characteristic of smallmouth. Great fish. Built like a Viking football. All right, buddy, thanks for playing the game. There you go. Oh my! What's not to like about this bass action? Casting a Rapala topwater called the skitter prop, it's deadly when smallmouth are looking up.
Oh, golly sakes! I can't keep up with them.
And a giant bass was.
That is a big fish. Woohoo!
That's a big bass.
Oh, that is a big mama. Cool fish. That's a 4-pounder. Tell you what, that fish headed. I couldn't keep up with him. He was out wild.
Indeed, wild smallies in a wild place.
We try to build a habitat for monarch butterflies.
When we return, how you can help restore monarch butterflies in Minnesota. A Minnesota couple shows the milkweed way and provides the seeds.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers. Connecticut. Open Air Solution. And by Jesse Treble's Safe Basements of Minnesota.
Up next, a story that ought to concern all of us, especially if you love butterflies, because the monarch butterfly populations have been declining rather drastically. So what can you do to help? We found out. Ward Johnson and his wife are on a mission, a save a bug kind of mission. And it begins in their Edina backyard.
We try to build a habitat for monarch butterflies.
And what might monarch habitat be?
If you don't have any milkweed, you don't have any monarchs.
Plant a milkweed, save a monarch. Sounds simple enough.
I grew up with monarchs around. I used to see them and you could pick them up by the wings.
We all love monarch butterflies, of course, and that's praise not normally afforded insects. Yet monarchs are, well, so colorful and so fascinating, and today, so in trouble.
We've watched the monarch butterfly population decline radically over the past 20 years, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. Actually, the population of monarch butterflies is down 80% from 1992, so it's been a big problem.
The problem is intensive agriculture in the Midwest is expanding. Simply put, more corn and soybean plantings, more herbicides means fewer and fewer milkweeds in the country.
Because milkweed is the only food the monarch caterpillar can consume.
So how do you grow milkweeds?
A short while back, it actually was in March of this year, I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, I'm going to do something about it. And so Ann and I thought about what we would do, and we decided we would try to distribute milkweed seed packets for free. We set this thing up, this foundation up earlier this year with the intention of putting out 100,000 seed packets of milkweed seed.
So the battle cry began around the kitchen table, save our monarchs.
We're actually filling milkweed seed envelopes is what we're doing.
This is really a cottage industry. We've even got our grandchildren stuffing these.
You know, we can't stop the people from spraying pesticides and herbicides and fertilizer and all those things. But this is one thing we can do, and it sure beats doing nothing.
At the moment, most of the milkweed operation is financed by the Johnsons.
And I buy them a pound at a time. I'd love to have people donate, but I want you to know that the seeds are free.
So butterfly lovers, spread the word. Free seeds at saveourmonarch.org. Donations welcome, of course. After all, if we want monarch butterflies to enrich our lives, now we know we need milkweeds too.
It's a big job for me. I really love doing this stuff, and I'm going to continue.
We love our walleyes, so much so that we stock hundreds of lakes so they have them. Here's something to consider when you fish those lakes. That walleye has spent the first year of its life growing up in a really shallow, weedy pond. Once they get stocked in the lake, where do they go? The weeds. So how do you catch them? Well, I recommend just going with the simple jig and minnow approach. This one here happens to be a VMC jig. It's a wide gap jig, and I hook it through the mouth out the center of the back. Now, when I fish them, I'm actually looking with my glasses, and I'm looking at the weeds to find little pockets, and I pitch the jig in there, let it sink to the bottom. The beauty of this is that bass, northern, everything live in the weeds. So you're gonna catch a lot of fish. And I'm betting you're gonna be surprised how many stocked walleyes you catch the next time you go out.
Today we're getting our Mojo on.
Up next, we're going wild in the kitchen with Laura Shera. Mojo, quail on the menu.
Take a little bite here. Quail definitely has its mojo on.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Yard.
Up next, time to find out what's cooking wild in the kitchen. Laura Shera and Chef Paul have I think it's a quail recipe.
Today we're getting our Mojo on and getting wild in the kitchen, and Chef Paul from Firelight Grillhouse Cocktail Bar, I'm going to let you announce what we're making today.
We are making a garlic mojo.
Which I like to call Mojo, but go ahead.
And so we're going to take our mojo, we're going to rub it on brined quail, because we've learned from before, if you're dealing with birds, brine them. We're going to also use that same garlic mojo on wild asparagus. Everything goes in the grill, quick, beautiful, spring. So we have water, we have kosher salt, we have some sugar, and pickling spice. You stir until it's no longer cloudy, so that the salt is fully incorporated. And we're just going to take our quail and we're just going to drop them down in there. The smaller the bird, the shorter the brine.
How many minutes in here?
15, 20.
All right, now it's really time for the Mojo, isn't it?
Now we're going to get our mojo on. It's very fresh. If you crush them, it just allows them to start to blend up a lot quicker.
Okay.
And then our onion.
And we have some spices.
Some paprika,
Like that.
cumin, thyme,
Thyme.
little Mexican oregano, and black pepper. And then we're gonna put our lemon juice and orange juice.
Freshly squeezed.
And then nice virgin olive oil. Take your emulsifier, whip it up. You gotta push it out. There you go, perfect. All right, that's good.
Okay.
We take our bay leaves and we drop them in, and we should actually let those steep in our mojo overnight. So if you're out and you do a lot of hiking, you'll probably come across stands of wild asparagus. It's traditionally a lot thinner than you would see in raised asparagus. When it's this thin and tender, you don't need to worry about peeling it. You just want to cut it off maybe 6-7 inches long, and I want you to just take a couple of spoonfuls and then rub it in. Get to know your asparagus.
We're gonna get to know our asparagus.
Rub it, roll it in on itself, make sure it's nicely coated, and then we're gonna sprinkle it with a little kosher salt. The quail, it's been brined for about 20 minutes. We're gonna lay them on a sheet pan, and then we're just gonna rub them both sides with our mojo. Crack a black pepper, kosher salt. We're off to grilling.
Our grill is hot and ready.
We're just gonna I always like to start skin down, so we're gonna be about 3-4 minutes aside here.
We're gonna add our asparagus. Voila.
See, they're looking great. Well, we get these asparagus a little bit charred, but they're so small and tender that they don't take very much. I bet our asparagus and our quails are done now. All it needs is just a squeeze of lemon.
Take a little bite here. Quail definitely has its mojo on. So simple, so easy to do, so wildly delicious.
Okay, if you're anything like me, you love collecting baits for fishing. The problem is you end up with boxes like this. It's a good thing to have all these fun baits, but when you're out fishing, I'm the kind of guy who needs to grab something quickly, and all of a sudden my mind starts wandering. Oh, how does this one run? How deep does this one run? So I started a little trick that has solved that problem for me. When I get a new bait, what I do is I actually label the bottom. A lot of these aren't actually labeled to tell you how deep they'll run. So this one runs 6 to 12 feet. I just take a Sharpie pen, I take a new bait, I mark it down. And just like that, every time I reach into the box, I know exactly how these baits run. It's a simple little trick, but it'll save you a lot of time and confusion when you're in the boat.
Our Minnesota-bound classic remembers a day spent with a Minnesota favorite in the outdoors or on the baseball diamond. Kent Hrbek. Stay with us.
They call me Cold Front Kent, by the way.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Grand Rapids Tourism, Vino in the Valley, and by Track Your Boats.
Coming up, our Minnesota-bound classic, we visit a day spent with one of Minnesota's most favorite baseball players, the one and only Kent Hrbek, who likes to fish, hunt. Well, he's a Minnesotan.
Nobody on, last of the fifth. And this one is hit to deep left center. This one has got a chance. This one is...
For 13 seasons, he embodied the spirit of the Minnesota Twins, Bloomington's own Kent Hrbek, number 14, who helped lead the Twins to 2 World Championships. I caught up with Herbie at his Bloomington home not far from where he grew up. His surroundings represent his love of baseball and the outdoors. And it's clear Kent relied on his outdoor roots to help him through some of the stressful moments found in the big leagues.
Yeah, the morning of the 6th game of the World Series, 7th game of the World Series, I went out duck hunting. I couldn't sleep anyway.
Did TK get out of the case?
Nobody knew about it before. I couldn't tell anybody. I probably wouldn't have told anybody after if we would have lost either. But we won, so I could brag about it.
With the heavyweight issues off the table, Kent and I headed out to Steger Lake in Victoria, Minnesota, a lake known for its big bass fishing. And Hrbek quickly cast out his fishing philosophy. Do you see the fish sort of like the pitcher?
In a way, yeah. Where's this guy going to be, or what's he going to throw at me this time? Is he going to be deep, or is he going to be shallow? I tell you what, it's a heck of a lot easier to hit a fastball than it is to go out and catch fish. I found that out. With me in the boat. They call me Cold Front Kent, by the way.
Hardly, as Cold Front Kent struck first with this northern pike.
Oh, your basic snake. Little snaky. Settle down, little snaky. Settle down. Settle down. Voila.
Like a baseball manager making changes in the lineup, Kent wasted no time in shuffling his lures.
90% of this game is confidence in what you have throwing out there. So, going with my confidence lure.
Well, he took that quick.
Yep, he went right back at it. You know what? I let it sink down, and all of a sudden I saw my slug going the other way. He must have just picked up the head of it. I'm about
As the afternoon rolled along, we each got our share. Oh, sure, there was the inevitable one that got away.
Oh, broke my line. He's a big dude.
But fishing with the quintessential Minnesota outdoor guy is also just plain fun. For Kent Hrbek, it's no longer who's on first, but who's on the lake first. Oh, Herbie, you know, I still remember that day fishing with him. He can't play baseball anymore, but guess what? He can still fish. Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I'm Ron Sherrill, of course, always the star of the show and the captain of my boat is Raven, right? Oh, yeah. That's it.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com. Share your stories on the Minnesota Bound Facebook page under the Share Your Story tab.